Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys a rundown of just some of the newly released watches on Aliexpress, which hopefully should show you some new watches in time for the current sale that's ongoing. So let's make a start. As you can see in front of you, I've got my new watches list, and a lot of these lists are public, so I think I can share an actual list with you guys. So I'll put that in the description as well as the individual links, just in case that list doesn't work. So you can see I've got a few interesting pieces here. Now, it's difficult to cover everything that's newly released. Back maybe a few months ago, AliExpress did have an option. If you typed in, let's say, automatic watches or mechanical watches, it gave you an option to look at newly added. Now, they removed that, so I kind of find that a bit annoying and frustrating because you can't just directly find the new stuff. So let's make a start anyway. So the newest release that I'm aware of is this Pagani Design. Now, this is homaging an Omega. And it's actually my favorite Omega. I think it's the Speedmaster 57. It's about 8.5 grand, and that is the color variant that I would go for on the Omega. So interesting to see that Pagani Design has homaged this. It's got, you know, usual specifications: stainless steel, sapphire crystal, but it runs a Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement, which is a tried and tested movement. But in terms of pictures, I mean, it all looks good. Pictures do anyway. And just, you know, a point to note that these aren't actually recommendations. These are just new watches that are released. Obviously, I haven't had my hands on them, but you know, we can kind of use that experience with the brands generally to kind of know what they'll be like. And Pagani Design is okay for the most part. You know, in terms of lume, don't expect too much. I'd expect the bracelet to be a bit rattly, but everything else should be okay. I mean, a VK64, you can't go wrong, but it looks good. I do like that symmetrical dial setup, no date on there as well. Some really nice sharp hands, so it does look okay. I mean, the bezel looks to be brushed also, so that's a nice touch. So moving on to the second one down the list. So next up, we've got a new release from Seestern. This is the S434. A couple of you guys already mentioned this to me in the comment section in my last video. And yeah, very interesting watch. It's a 38mm. It's homaging, I believe, a Glashütte. So this watch essentially is a field diver. You've got the numerals on the dial as well as a diving bezel. Now they also include the upgraded clasp on this from Seestern, which does have the micro adjustments on there, the on-the-fly adjustment, as well as the new sort of shell design to the clasp with that starfish logo has been reinstated. I don't know about the case back. Now the watch is £156, which is not too bad, kind of mid-ranged. And then you've got a few colors: greens, blues, blacks. You also got a black and gold combination as well as a blue and gold. Very interesting piece. I just want to look at the end links. So they look to be quite short because this is quite similar to the 6.2 mass style case. So I wouldn't want those extra long end links, but in the pictures it looks to be quite short. Diameter 39mm, sorry. Overall weight of 140 grams. And usual specifications with a sapphire crystal, Seiko NH35, and Super Luminova BGW9, or Super Luminous as they state. Some of the closer pictures see through case back, and it looks interesting. You can see a sunray pattern to the dial as well, and Seestern generally do have really nice dials. All the numerals, depends how you feel about the numerals, to be honest. Not a fan of that S. I prefer a star on there, but I think that S you know, can kind of cover both Seestern and Suge, so they might share some parts. Some very sharp, high quality images, and the watch looks to be incredibly well finished. Now this is actually on its way to me, so once I get this in, I'll do a review of this so you guys can see it in person. Moving on, next we've got a new watch from our favorite watch brand. Well, it was a while ago, the SteelDive. This is an NH34 GMT sub homage. Yes, there's lots of sub homages out there, but this seems to be reasonably priced. It's just under £80 at £77. It also has an upgraded clasp, so I'm glad to see SteelDive moved away from those clasps and kind of gone in line with the market. It's got a 5-link bracelet in there. That picture shows excellent lume, but SteelDive normally do have excellent lume, but at this price range I have found it's always not the best, so it's definitely worth taking that with a pinch of salt. Usual kind of looks to a sub homage, to be honest, nothing too different, but great price for the Seiko NH34 one. Now I think the last batch is mostly San Martin watches, and we've got a few extras. So with the San Martins, let's take them all on at the same time, and we just want to go to the new arrivals. and let's see what we see here. So they've got a few new watches, and they've kind of amended a few others. So if we take a look at this, of course we know it's the Ranger Homage. Now they have upped it with a 5-link bracelet, and they've also got a few different colorways. This is the black and gilt, green and gilt, and also the normal one. The one I had, the case was amazing. I really liked the case and the bracelet, but the dial, I wasn't too impressed. It seemed rather flat. But this is upgraded. It does have applied numerals now. The logo is not applied. But if you take a look down here, we've got loads of new variants. We've got this BB36 style handset, a lovely pistachio dial. You've also got a white, and you've got this sort of sand colored dial. Okay, now this one looks much better. So they've got a few different variants. Again, they've really exploded on this range. So if you take a look at these colors, I like this sort of smoky blue, I'd say, and then the green. That looks much better. You can see an applied logo, applied hour markers, and yeah, that is the one I'll probably be getting in. Yeah, that's so much like more interesting looking. And you can also get this in the normal bracelet option, the oyster style, should we say, rather than this 5-link. But I gave it to him that the case was awesome. It's probably the best Tudor Homage out there with regards to having the correct case shape. It just looked rather flat, which I think they've remedied. Now, with regards to the price, it's slightly high. It's £231. That's because this is available with the PT5000 and a SW200. If you wanted the older version of the Tudor Homage, that's £180 or £175, should I say. That comes with the NH34. But the PT5000 and the SW200, they're not dateless movements, whereas the dial setup is dateless, so you will have that ghost position. So £230 in the sale. It's okay considering the watch is well made. It's a newer bracelet, and St. Martin bracelets are generally okay, although they are slightly rough edged. But I do like the newer colors. I think it's a vast improvement on the V1, with the applied numerals and the logo. And I like this green, so that's probably something, as I said, I'll put in my basket and hope to get so I can review this. And this 5-link bracelet also comes with that circular sort of clasp. And anything else we can see on the close-ups? Well, you guys know St. Martin do have really good quality. This is another one, £260, and it has a Seiko NH34 at £260. That is quite pricey. Case size is 39.5. You can see it's a vintage sort of look, and yeah, it's got a bit of a look of a 6.2 mass in terms of the case shape. Interesting colors. I mean, this teal with the yellow on the seconds hand and that red on the GMT color match date weird also with this particular variant. This royal blue on the bezel. It's very interesting. Again, these vintage colors. Great size as well. You got a beads of rice bracelet. That's nice to see. And I'm not too sure if the bezel is actually 48 click rather than 120 click unidirectional, but it looks good. With the Seiko N34 movement in there. Yeah, very pricey, but it's not cheap. As we know, St. Martin do kind of go up, but the quality more often than not does back it up. The case looks really well made as always. It's got some really nice highlights on the edges, which I absolutely love. So it looks like a cracking vintage watch. Now let's have a look at another one. They do have a few, as I said. This one is £186, 37mm, again with that vintage look. I love that green that they've used. You've got green and black in this. Same polish highlights on the case, box style sapphire crystal, loomed chapter ring. That's very interesting, and that looks good. Baton hands, red seconds hand, and that does look quite good. I like that, and also has a beads of rice bracelet. Now this is a bit more reasonable in price, £186 with the Seiko NH35. I'd wish they use the NH38 because it is dateless, and to St. Martin, who are at the top of this game on Aliexpress, it shouldn't be too expensive to get NH38s. There are elements where they are pretty stuck in their ways, but it's an interesting design. It's probably the most original design from St. Martin that I've seen. Now, one more that caught my eye as well from St. Martin was this 38mm Seiko NH35, but again with the dateless setup. What I like about it more is the case shape and the bracelet rather than the actual dial setup. It's an old school Omega Homage. It's got the all radium loom, so it probably won't be that bright, but it does have a mix with BGW9, as you can see on the numerals. Lovely box style sapphire crystal. The thing with this is it's going to have great finishing, and it's going to have a gorgeous profile. I can just tell from looking at the pictures. Polished bezel, I must say the case does look a bit long and a bit straight as well for my liking, but there you go. But I mean, overall, it should be a great size. We're looking at £172, which is very reasonable considering it is San Martin and that level of build quality you get from them. Definitely interesting, definitely worth checking out. So now let's continue with our list. I've lost my list. Time to get it back. Here we go. So as we go further down the rabbit hole of Aliexpress, the last two guys, and this one is from Boderry. This in pictures looks absolutely stunning. It's a chronograph, as you can see, and you guys remember Boderry have sent in a few watches for me to review. So they've sent in that green one with the micro rotor movement, and then this titanium sub Homage, which in my eyes failed. I mean, both watches didn't really hit the spot. Now this one seems to be very nice, a lot better than the others, but this one they haven't reached out to send it to me, so which is a bit frustrating. Few nice colors as well, lovely pistachio green, nice black and white, and personally like this one. This one looks probably the best, and it does have a mechanical quartz movement, but I've just got to double check. No, sorry, it has the ST1901 movement from Seagull, which we are very familiar with, so you guess you use those movements on nearly every watch. They've got it branded with Boderry on there, so a bit of work gone into that movement. Box style sapphire crystal, I think. So this is a much more interesting watch, which they haven't offered to send to me. So I'll see if I can reach out and get one. I think that's £210. Yeah, bit pricier, but if it's built well enough, I mean, it should be worth it. But it does look quite good. And then the last one from Boderry, I believe this has already been out on Aliexpress, on YouTube. There's a couple of reviews on it. This is a titanium automatic field watch, 56 sold so far, and about 4.4 rating. I think the biggest issue with this that people have is the movement used. It's a Miyota 8215. So slightly dated, especially considering, you know, you can put in a Seiko 85 now. It's a Miyota 8205, but it does have sapphire, 100 meters of water resistance, and it does have a very interesting colorway. So the black one looks just normal, as you'd expect. Date at 4 p.m. You've got your typical field watch sandblasted finish on there. It looks okay, similar to the Seiko SNK, but it does have this these sides to it, you know, these lugs on the side which do kind of make it a bit thicker. But if you look at the other colorways, it's a very interesting way in which they've put the day date function at 4 but at a tilt, and then the Boderry name at 9, so offset. I don't know why. I think that Boderry Voyager would look better below the 12. So this is it, guys. This is the end of the list. This is some of the new releases that you can find at AliExpress. Hopefully one of these does tickle your fancy. I personally like that Pagani design as something I would definitely check out. A lot of interesting color options in that, and always great value for money from Pagani Design. So that's it from my list today. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you on the next one.